In February 1959, deep within the freezing northern Ural Mountains of the Soviet Union, 9 experienced ski hikers set out on a difficult winter expedition. They never returned. When search parties finally located their campsites, they found a scene that would astonish investigators for decades.
The hiker's tent was sliced open from the inside. The hikers had fled into the freezing cold night completely or partially undressed, some even barefoot. As search teams recovered the bodies over the following months, many horrifying discoveries of scenes emerged.
First, Yuri Deroshenko and Yuri Krivonishenko were found naked near a pine tree, dead of hypothermia with burns on their bodies, and Yuri Krivonishenko had a piece of his knuckle bitten off, found in his mouth. Then, the group's leader, Igor Dyatlov, along with Zenaida and Rustem, were found spread across the mountain slope, seemingly trying to crawl back to their tent.
But the mystery took a dark turn when the remaining 4 hikers were found months later in a stream under a pile of snow. Nikolai, Semyon, Lyudmila, and Alexander didn't just die of the cold. They suffered strange and horrific injuries, fatal skull fractures, crushed chest, missing eyes, and Lyudmila's case, a missing tongue. Bum, bum, bum.
To understand what really happened, we have to look at the broader historical context of the Soviet Union in 1959. This was the era of the Khrushchev thaw, which was a period of minor political and social liberation following the death of Joseph Stalin. Censorship was slightly reduced, and Gulag prisoners were being released slowly.
However, because of the slight leniency in society, the Soviet government was more desperate than ever to keep its military secrets hidden from its citizens and the West. This expedition took place at the absolute peak of the Cold War and the space race. The Soviets were celebrating early successes like Sputnik in 1957, and the pressure to maintain total dominance was weighing on them.
In our AP World History class, we learned about the long and pervasive feud between the United States and the Soviet Union. They were competing in nuclear arms, space technology, and government structures. This clash and conflicting opinions fueled a culture of total secrecy and led the Soviet military to take extreme measures to one-up the West. This in play, accidents were hidden and unacceptable.
This brings us to our main claim. The Dyatlov Pass hikers were the accidental victims of a top-secret Soviet military weapons test. The evidence points directly to this. The hikers had veered way off course. Instead of being at the bottom of the mountain, they set up camp near the top, putting them directly downwind of a highly classified military zone. We think the military base was experimenting on a weapon, perhaps a sonic, auditory, or nuclear device.
Suddenly, an emergency alarm or a terrifying, deafening blast shattered the night. Panicked by the sudden threat of radiation or an explosion, the hikers sliced through their tent to escape immediate death. They ran down the mountain. The extreme radiation noted on some of their clothing and the unknown extra ice axe and knife found at the scene suggests military cleanup crews may have arrived later to contain the scene and what they truly caused.
While some of the physical injuries, like missing eyes and tongue, could be related to animal scavengers, the sheer level of panic and precision of these occurrences, plus the radioactive residue, strongly aligned with extreme dangerous military trials, common in the USSR during this time and highly probable.
Today, many modern researchers point to an alternative theory, the slab avalanche theory. This theory suggests that the hikers cut a flat shelf into the snowy slope to set up their tent, which destabilized the snowpack above them. Strong winter winds caused the slab of compact snow to collapse onto the tent, fracturing their ribs and skulls while they slept and forcing them to flee into the cold.
Well, a computerized simulation recently showed that the wind could eventually sweep away all visible evidence of an avalanche. This counter-argument still makes no sense. An avalanche does not explain why the military scrambled up to cover up the case files, why the clothing was radioactive, or why an extra knife and ice axe were found at the site, which the hikers didn't own. In the context of the Cold War arms race, a tragic natural disaster would not require state-level secrecy. A weapons test gone wrong, however, absolutely would.
In conclusion, the Dyatlov Pass isn't just any spooky ghost story. It is a stark reflection of the intense and paranoid environment that the Cold War had on the Soviet Union, where the drive for scientific and military success overruled everything else, including people's lives.